This stop we're going to talk about lentil production in western North Dakota. Dr. Krishna Katuwal is our research agronomist at the Dickinson Research Extension Center. This is his third growing season. As you heard from Sudip earlier, he's done a good job of building his program. So with that, I'll turn it over to Krishna.
Hello again. This is another project that I have been conducting this year. We started this project this year about lentil. So this is a project on lentil about advancing lentil production by optimizing management practices in western North Dakota. Before I start talking about this project, I was just curious if we have any lentil producer here today. Can you please raise your hand? Any lentil producer? No? Well, that's all right. It is very informative for everyone, so please don't ignore me. Over the year, there has been increasing interest in lentil production in North Dakota. In 2023, we harvested almost 89,000 hectares of lentil in North Dakota. And we ranked second after Montana for lentil production in the United States. In that year, we produced 19% of lentil all over the country. So lentil is pretty important crop for the state. And incorporation of lentil has multiple benefits, especially for a region like ours where we have predominant continuous cereal-based cropping system. So what happens is if we incorporate pulses like lentil to diversify our regional spring wheat or cereal-based cropping systems, it offers benefits like it helps breaking cycles of all these different pests like disease, insect, and weeds. For example, in our continuous spring wheat production system, we see stem sawfly issues everywhere, right? So with that continuous availabilities of grass hollow stem with the continuous spring wheat systems, these insects persist. They get very ideal environments because they get these foods continuously through those hollow stems and also have those hollow stems to overwinter. So with this ideal environment, we see, their prolific growth, a lot of damages, those sorts of issues with continuous cropping system. So if we incorporate pulses like lentil to our cropping system to diversify, it helps to break their cycle and help manage those pests. Crop diversification, including lentil, also help to improve agricultural resource use efficiencies for different critically important agricultural resources like fertilizer, pesticides, water, all those important nutrients. How? Because since this crop diversification breaks those cycles of the pest and help manage pests, we don't have to apply a lot of pesticides now. So help improve pesticide use efficiency. There are a lot of crop like pulses which also fix their own nitrogen through biological nitrogen fixation. So now we don't have to apply too many fertilizer with diversifying our crop and also help improving fertilizer use efficiency. Crop diversification also helps to improve agricultural resilience of our cropping system because different crop has different rooting depth and now they absorb those soil water from different depth utilizing whole water from the profile, improving water use efficiency, improving drought resilience of our cropping system. Different crop also has different canopy structure. So if we have a crop with the taller heights, more denser canopy, it helps breaking those winds and help protect our crop from wind issues, like heavy winds, high wind, right? Which is pretty common. Strong winds are pretty common in our region. So there is a lot of advantages this crop diversification provides, and we need to diversify our crops, including other crops like pulses, including lentils. Lentil is also a drought-tolerant crop, and our region is semi-arid region. We usually receive about 10 to 12 or 12 to 16, that range of rainfall, which is very low. So in that low rainfall, semi-arid region, drought-tolerant crop is really important, right? So lentil would be a very good fit for the region like ours. And another important thing with the lentil is that it fixes 85% of its nitrogen requirement through biological nitrogen fixation. So that is really crucial, because since it fixes its nitrogen requirement mainly through biological nitrogen fixation, we don't have to apply a lot of fertilizer. So what it does is it helps, of course, improving fertilizer use efficiency, and also help tackle other issues like surface soil acidity. In this region, we have been seeing a lot of soil acid patches because of this heavy application of nitrogen-based fertilizer. And this nitrogen-based fertilizer releases hydrogen ion. We have been seeing a lot of soil acidic issues because of that. So if you incorporate crops like lentil, we might help us get rid of these soil acidity issues over the year. So lentil has a lot of advantages for this reason. Although it provides a lot of benefits, there are very few studies that have been conducted in this area to evaluate adaptability of this crop, and also help identify different crop management practices, better crop management practices for producing lentil in this area. With those in our mind, we designed this project to identify better management practices for lentil production in western North Dakota. So this is if you look at the handout, you see a little chart on the top, and this is the design that we use for this project. So we have 4 different replicate block that goes from west to east in this trial. Those are replicate block. And then we also have total 30 treatments in this project that goes from east to west. And if you look at the chart, you see we also planted flax on the edge of this trial, on the both edges of this trial. This is because flax is a non-nitrogen fixing crops, and lentil is a nitrogen fixing crops. So through comparative analysis, we want to estimate how much biological nitrogen fixation is going on in this lentil trial, and how our management treatments affecting those nitrogen fixation process. And then this trial we have been conducting in 2 different locations, Dickinson and Wilson, this year, and we have been evaluating again multiple treatments. One of our treatment is inoculants. We have been evaluating 5 different inoculants in this study. One of them is, of course, control on inoculated treatments. We also been evaluating 3 different formulation of inoculants: liquid, peat, and granular. And our another inoculants treatment is double inoculation. So basically, we are combining 2 different inoculants, seed applied liquid with the infrared granular application, to see if double inoculation provides any advantages over single inoculation, because in our region pulses are still not very common crop. So if double inoculation may provide better advantages compared to single inoculation. In this project, we also been evaluating 3 different nitrogen treatments. One of our treatment is, of course, control. We didn't apply any nitrogen in this trial in those plots. Another treatment is single application of 30 pounds per acre of nitrogen as the stored fertilizer. And another treatment was split application of nitrogen. We applied 15 pounds per acre of nitrogen as the stored fertilizer, and then rest 15 pounds per acre of nitrogen during early flowering phase, to see if those supplemental nitrogen during reproductive phase of lentils provides any advantages for lentil production. In this project, we also been evaluating two different cultivars of lentil. One is Morena, which is more of an early maturity type cultivars. It has about 85 to 90 days of maturity. Another cultivar is Brewer, which is more of a medium maturity type cultivars. It has about 100 days of maturity, just to see what sort of cultivars better fitted with our environment in this region. So in this project, I have another graduate student, Bobin Correll. Where are you here, Bobin? There you go. So he's my another graduate student housed in Department of Plant Science. Been working hard to collect very good data to this point this year. And also I would like to utilize this opportunities to do a little bit of advertisement for our graduate research opportunities at Dickinson Research Extension Center. So if we have, like, if you know anybody, local motivated students who want to pursue higher education at NDSU, do their master, PhD, they can do by housing here in Dickinson Research Extension Center. We have a lot of those opportunities coming up, so they have to probably take one or two courses in main campus, other courses they can take remotely being here and pursue those higher education. So we always have those opportunities. If you know any of those students, please ask them to contact us. So in this project, these are again preliminary observation. We found that when we compare two different cultivars, Brewer and Morena, Brewer, which is more of a medium maturity type cultivars, had better stand count. It had better plant height and also better SPAD measurement. SPAD is basically measurements of chlorophyll content. So it measures how much chlorophyll that plant leaf has. Chlorophyll is a photosynthetic pigment that converts light energy to chemical energy or carbohydrate, and which is reallocated as a grain, right? So if you have better SPAD, that means you have a better chlorophyll content, means healthier plants. And we observed that Brewer has better SPAD measurement count than Morena. We also measure leaf area index, which is basically a leaf area per unit ground area. So if you have a better leaf area index, that means you have more denser leaf canopy. That means you have more leaf to absorb that photosynthetic light, that light to convert it into carbohydrates or grains. So we found that Brewer, which is more of medium maturity lentil cultivar, has better leaf area index compared to Morena. So looks like medium maturity cultivars does a little better compared to early type, and our assumption generally is early type would do better than medium maturity type. But what we found to this point is that Brewer, which is a medium maturity type, does better compared to early and maturity cultivars for lentils. So we also compare different inoculant in this project, and we found that granular and peat, those two different formulation of inoculants, did slightly better compared to other inoculants for improving plant heights. So those inoculants may be better for our region. We also evaluated different nitrogen treatments, and we found that full application of 30 pounds per acre of nitrogen as the starter fertilizer is helping this crop to improve leaf area index much better compared to other nitrogen treatments. And that makes sense, right? All this data we took during early June when the crops are just at some vegetative phase and they are not actively fixing those biological nitrogen fixation. So supplementing them with some extra fertilizer as a supplemental fertilizer during that phase help those crop to help develop their leaf and all other growth, and that's how they have better leaf area index. And that may be changed over the growing season, because over the time they start fixing their biological nitrogen fixation, fixing their own nitrogen, there might be some different responses. So we'll be probably observing that later, and we'll be sharing more details about yield and different parameters. We're going to do some economic analysis to see if there is any benefits of applying all those different inoculants or nitrogen fertilizers and cultivars in the future. maybe next year would be better. We come with a better conclusion on that aspect. I would also like to finally acknowledge funding support from North Dakota Department of Agriculture. If you have any question, I would be very happy to answer them. Yep.
What did you do for weed control? Because I never see lentils as clean.
So we did some burnout like treatments initially with glyphosate, and after that we haven't applied any herbicides or so, because if you see the rows you might see a little bit of weeds, but actual plot doesn't have a lot of weeds in there because the canopy was too dense to outcompete those weeds. But yeah, there are some options like tops and other options that can be used to manage weeds, but to this point we didn't see a lot of weeds, so we didn't have to apply any herbicides. Any other question? Oh yeah, so the question is, what are the different inoculant type we use in this trial, and to come with the conclusion of granular and pit outperforming other, right? So in this study we evaluated 5 different inoculants or inoculant treatment. Of course we compare with the control where we did not apply any inoculants, and we compare all these 3 different formulation of inoculants. One was pit, granular, liquid. We also compare them with the double inoculation, because our region doesn't have a long history of producing pulses, so we might not have enough rhizobia in our soil without adding some supplemental inoculants in this region. So because of that, we want to see if we adding some more extra inoculants through double inoculation provides any benefits. To this point in our study, we haven't seen any benefits because, again, single application of granular and liquid was outperforming that double inoculation. So we didn't see any advantage to this point. Again, this is a preliminary observation. Those findings might change by the end of the growing season when we're actually harvesting our trial. Because to this point, when we were collecting our data, there was not active biological nitrogen fixation. There was some, but they peak for biological nitrogen fixation during early flowering phase, right? So when we collected our data, at that point they were not in that phase. They were, B3, B4 phases where biological nitrogen fixation was not, that high. So in that point, we saw that peat and granular did better than other inoculants. Any other question? No question? Good. Then thank you so much for attending, and we have another talk for weeds